Hi, I'm Charlotte Jorgensen. Today, I want to talk about partnering, particularly partnering pertaining to ballroom dancing. The waltzes, the tangos, the Viennese waltzes, the foxtrot, and the quickstep. We're getting very caught up in what the picture of ballroom looks like. And essentially, partnering is so important because we have to appear to be glued together when we dance. So by partnering, I mean an awareness from the leader to the follower and from the follower to the leader of the other person's balance. So the minute I get caught up in what I look like, I'm essentially disconnected from how the other person's balance is. And therefore, it's much easier to create all these little nagging mistakes like you're pushing me, you're pulling me, because we're not really referenced to each other. So the history here is important because the lead that used to be in ballroom went into Latin. And nowadays, I find myself often teaching the lead from Latin into ballroom because the lead is much more visible in Latin. In ballroom, it's disguised. It's beautifully elusive, but it's still there. So let's see if we can actually try and pin down some of the points that creates partnering. Obviously, the arms in ballroom are the fixed points. My body is not fixed to my partner because we change positions, whether it be close position, promenade, fall away, inside position, or left side position. So the positions change. So the only thing that I'm dealing with that is permanently fixed is our entire hold. So these become really, really imperative that they are understanding how to balance each other. So, for instance, if I think of my hands belong to my leader, right? I have one arm and they're not in the same position, not for the follower and not for the leader. So if I have to make it as a generalized statement, I have both leader and follower has their left arm fairly straight to the side, the elbow coming out of the shoulder socket fairly straight. And then depending on the height of your partner for the leader, this arm will change. For the follower, the left arm comes straight out, and clearly we are down onto the partner's arm. I'll come back to this arm in a little while. So we have the leader's connection underneath the upper arm to the follower, which is the primary connection point. Moving the elbow out from the leader, he will get the hand connection. And these two connections that are next are super important. The elbow connection from both parties, and the follower won't quite get the elbow, but there will be a feel of the leader's elbow point, which is super important. And then the placement of the lady's hand. I often see the follower's hand sliding down the back of the leader's arm. This is not good because it basically induces a kind of hanging on action. If instead, please watch what I do with my hand, if instead you actually kink the hand so that there is an impingement in the wrist, that allows for the elbow to go down. Now, why do I care about the elbow being down from the follower to the leader? I care about this because from this elbow point is where I, as a follower or the leader, has the ability to lead the lady whenever she goes forward so that the lady has access to the speed of the leader's turn. The other arm for both leader and follower is not straight to the side. It is diagonally forward. So let's say at an about 40 to 45 degree angle. So if I'm the follower, this is approximately the angle my arms will have. And if I just stood here and changed as a leader, you can see that the arms are actually, the forearms are changing, but the elbow positions are not changing. From my leaders to my followers, your right hand, leaders, is responsible for the lady's balance. It might be very important to note right here, my dear followers, my dear ladies, if your elbow is up, the leader has no sense of your body weight. He's chasing you. And his only option now is actually to start attaching you onto his body. which is a very, very uncomfortable feeling for us, and it becomes very difficult to find our own balance. So we each must, particularly for the leader, the right hand really senses the follower's balance, and between your two hands as a leader, you are sensing her entire width of her body. Move this arm out too far, and the followers cannot match. They cannot be here and here at the same time. So pick one. Either you want that she follows this one very far out, or you want the other one far out. But there is a limit to the space. My followers, find a way to get this elbow down. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but I'm going to be heavy. What makes us heavy is rarely the elbow. What makes us heavy is how we're lifted and connected. And if you go back and you look at one of my other videos, there's a talk about posture and how we connect the shoulders to the center, and that will make you understand how not to, quote unquote, be heavy. We're not heavy, we just feel heavy. So very important that all these points are lined up so that I have information as to the speed. And the reason for this is the hip or the center connection that we have is a much smaller circumference of turn than the elbows. So at any time when we move together, the speed of the elbows will be much faster than the speed of the hip. So please see if you can find a good connection and a good reference where you basically respect and acknowledge the other person's balance as you're dancing. Good luck.